On a planet where apes evolved from man, an adventurous astronaut experiences existential dread, inhuman incarceration, and archaeological excavations.
Femininity in the post-apocalypse.
Hey there, you marvelous maidens of Megiddo. This is Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse, a feminist exploration of dystopian media. I'm your host, Klaire Lockheart. I'm an artist, but when I'm not spending every waking hour painting, I sometimes take a break so I can spend every waking hour preparing for the annual Thunderdomesticity art exhibition. The opening reception is coming up soon, so you'll have to pardon me if I seem a little frazzled because this is an enormous volunteer project. Anyway, I made time to sit down to watch Planet of the Apes from 1968, which I will discuss with my amazing guest. After relaying the plot, we'll spoil the end of this classic sci-fi movie without remorse because you've had decades to watch it for yourself. We'll also rate the film on the Maenad-O-Meter before I introduce you to the next Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree recipient from the Unaccredited College of Klaire. Thank you for listening, my friends. I'm absolutely pleased that my guest is artist Aaron C Packard. In addition to being an incredible photographer, he recently opened up his studio into a photography lab so he can process film and create prints for other artists. If you caught his recent episodes focused on The Last Judgment and The Terminator, you probably remember that Aaron is my favorite person on the planet. Because we're married. Of course, this means I'm biased when it comes to Aaron's work since I love him, but I want to let you know that he's the one who photographs all my paintings and makes my prints. Whether it's time for you to update your headshots, have your artwork professionally documented, or you need film developed, visit photolab7.com. That's spelled FOTOLABNO7.com. As always, Aaron, I'm happy you're here.
Oh, why, thank you. I'm very happy I'm here too.
I know that you've made a big change in your schedule. You used to keep Tuesdays for all your existential crises.
Yes, we would try to keep the existential crises to Tuesday.
For Existential Crisis Tuesday.
Yes, Existential Crisis Tuesday.
However, now that you've opened up Photo Lab number 7, you do something very different with your days on Tuesdays.
Yes, Tuesday is my film processing day. So, yes, I don't know. I guess I can have a little bit of existential thoughts while hanging out in the dark. It kind of works.
Because you'll spend all your Tuesdays in the darkroom processing film for other artists and people who are doing analog photography, right?
Yes, I will.
Well, Aaron, it's no secret that you're my favorite person to watch apocalyptic movies with. And we recently watched Planet of the Apes.
Yes. Yes, we did.
This movie was made before you were born. So, Aaron, please tell us about the ever-present nature of this film.
I really can't remember when I saw it first, but it seems like it's has been present pretty much everywhere my entire life. I mean, and just like from different TV shows and movies and different things, it seems like there's just references to it that pop up everywhere.
This is one of those ubiquitous movies that permeates so much sci-fi that I also have no idea when I first saw it. For me, references to it stand out more than the original, including Professor Bobo from Mystery Science Theater 3000, the Mega Maid crash scene in Spaceballs.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Plus that song by the Killers, Mr. Bright Eyes.
Eyes. Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm sorry. Before we recap the story, Aaron, do you remember what we had to drink when we last watched Planet of the Apes?
Ooh, we tried a new drink called the Drunken Monkey.
Do you mind sharing what went in it in case any of our friends listening want to give it a try?
Yeah, let's see if I can remember. So there was coconut rum and spiced rum and pineapple juice and orange juice, and there was some bitters, and then that was shaken over ice and poured over the ice again with a maraschino cherry and a little tiny sprinkle of nutmeg on top.
Those were delicious. Thank you for making those for us.
Oh yeah, thanks for finding the recipe.
Since we're talking about beverages, this allows me to remind our friends joining us that the Maenads were well known for drinking in the woods, which is why we will use the Maenad-O-Meter as our metric to measure movies.
Maenad-O-Meter.
Whether or not our friends have watched Planet of the Apes, we'll retell the plot first before our discussion, so we all have the same background. Besides, what could be more relaxing than chatting about a fictional dystopia to distract ourselves from the real-world horrors that permeate our daily lives?
Yeah.
As usual, I must provide the disclaimer that I have the worst attention span for movies ever, which is why I'm inviting you to jump in at any time.
Okay. I think I am ready.
In a world where apes evolve from man, Charlton Heston, who was formed in a vat of melted Ken dolls, smokes a cigar inside a spaceship as he records his podcast.
And has an existential moment of his own.
He injects some drugs before he observes his 3 sleeping crewmates. The other astronauts include a white man, a black man, and a white woman who appears to be half the age of all the men. Charlton Heston fastens the seatbelts of his space bed, folds his arms so he can sleep like a space pharaoh, and drifts off to sleep as the space credits roll.
Yes. What a lovely spaceship they had from the inside. Yes.
It's so spacious.
Yes, it was so very spacious.
I'm a little jealous of his podcasting studio with all that soundproofing.
Yes, the egg crate foam is pretty prolific.
An annoying sound effect plays as the camera flops around, indicating the spaceship is crashing into a body of water. All the men awaken to discover they have fake beards.
Yes, and they are G.I. Joe beards at that. I mean, just like the 1960s, 70s G.I. Joe dolls that like could have dated Barbie because they were the same size.
I was wondering if they got all their beards when Party City went out of business.
Definitely.
We should have bought fake beards. All we got were plastic skeletons.
I know. There was such a good deal on plastic skeletons.
The men peer into the woman's pod with horror, and it's not because she also has a fake beard. No, her vessel cracked, which caused her to turn into Norman Bates's mother.
Yes, it did.
Despite being dead, her arm position managed to change, so her arms uncrossed themselves when the camera angle changed.
Yes, they did.
Before we can protest that the first feminine character was killed off without uttering a single line, the spaceship suddenly starts filling with water.
Now, would that be considered her being fridged?
I don't know. Was her sleep receptacle refrigerated?
Well, I mean, just talking about the concept of, being fridged, that a whole modern woman was fridged at the beginning of the movie.
I was trying to be pedantic, but perhaps. The men scramble to escape while hoping the double stick tape holds their beards in place.
Yeah, the spirit gum really held up well in the water scene.
As the orchestra indicates danger, the trio flees on a yellow raft like it's the end of a James Bond movie.
Yeah, there was a little butt touching going on there too, I
Oh, I
think.
missed that. An incredibly red Charlton Heston and his Astro Bros use ridiculously small paddles to get to a rocky shore and clumsily exit the floaty like every dad at a water park.
Well, they were having fun at Lake Powell. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm surprised that little floaty thing could even hold them.
Is Lake Powell where the scene was filmed?
Yes.
They look at their equipment, and we immediately know they're Americans because NASA packed guns in their space lunchboxes.
I do like their aluminum backpacks they have.
It's a good thing the woman died. Otherwise, they would have to lug around 100 tampons for every 6 days she was in space.
Yes.
The men think they were traveling for a year at the speed of light, but according to their ship's calendar, it was more than 2,000 years. They believe they are 320 light years away from the Earth, yet never question how they're able to breathe on this unknown planet, and gravity functions in a very familiar way.
Yes, yes. It is uncannily familiar to maybe where they came from.
The space travelers stumble down a gravelly hill as experimental marimbas assault our ears to tell us something's amiss. Negative compositing indicates an eerie lightning storm, and a few styrofoam boulders threaten to smash them like Shatner.
Gorn, but not forgotten.
Oh, you were born to be wild.
Yes.
The white dudes pontificate about immortality as Charlton Heston establishes himself as the crew's jerkface before foreshadowing that there has to be something better than man.
And we really start to see his really massive teeth.
The men shamble around in front of an anamorphic lens, but then encounter what they think are scarecrows displayed on rocks as ominous music trills. Did I get that right? Was it an anamorphic lens, Aaron?
Yes, it definitely was some kind of anamorphic lens by the shape of the lens flares, and just that was common at that point in time for the way that theaters would show movies and such.
So that means the lens flares, so those specks of sunlight on the film are stretched out into an oval shape?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
They would film it on a squished lens, and then in the theater they would widen it back out with the projector.
Okay. That's probably easier than stretching the film out, I suppose.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Heston scurries up the rock face and immediately spots a waterfall. The men rip off their space suits, show off their tushies, and jump in, thus contaminating the water. They hop out of the water and notice a footprint, but the framing of the scene makes it look like they're all admiring Charlton Heston's penis.
Yes, it does. The framing gets even worse there for a second, and yes, then it goes on.
The men panic because someone is stealing their clothes. They hurry through the woods nudedly, only to find their equipment smashed and their clothes torn to rags.
Was there still poison ivy, in this world? I'm not sure, but not to mention the things that would be flopping around with how much they were running. But
Oh no! The astronauts scurry through a cornfield with other dingy humans.
It's a corny movie. They were cornered in there too.
That cornucopia of people. This movie isn't corny, Aaron. It's amazing.
Oh, I will definitely leave the jokes to you.
Anyway, apes riding horses chase them and capture the humans in nets in a scene without dialogue. The apes shoot and kill the only actor of color. Additionally, an ape shoots Charlton Heston in the throat. The primates smack people in the water with their guns, and they throw the surviving astronaut in a cage with other smelly humans, and he is reunited with a human woman he tried to grab earlier.
Yes, he is.
Next, an ape photographer documents 3 giggling simians who pose over a stack of dead humans.
That was a very interesting version of a camera.
It was a sci-fi camera.
Yeah. It's like somebody saw an old movie with a 4x5 and some flash powder and decided to like scrunch it all together. That camera would have like burned up.
On a planet where digital photography evolved from analog and then evolved back to analog.
Oh, the humanity. Oh, the ape manatee. No, I don't know.
Point your camera this way, you damn dirty ape. I'm ready for my close-up.
Oh, it's a madhouse.
Charlton Heston is brought to a zoo where ape scientists run experiments. Dr. Zira, who is costumed in a charming, articulated chimpanzee mask, is kind to the human specimens.
Maybe a little more than kind, or lecherous, maybe? Perhaps. Yes. I don't know. She's kind of creepy.
Her mask was sculpted in a very lecherous way.
Yes, I would agree.
She names the protagonist Bright Eyes. He can't talk due to his neck wound, but the scientists adore that he thinks he's people because he tries to speak. The audience is then introduced to the main mean monkey, Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zaius.
He's a rubbery, orange, uncanny orangutan with a bad blonde hairdo who abuses his authoritarian political power. I don't know how anyone could possibly relate to a villain like this.
I have no idea.
Oh no, this movie did predict the future. Dr. Zaius thinks Bright Eyes can only do tricks and mimic, kind of like how it turned out that one gorilla didn't actually understand sign language.
Right.
Dr. Zaius also believes it will be best when humans are exterminated so the simians can survive. After the antagonist exits stage left, the scientists tell Bright Eyes they have a present for him. It's the scantily clad feral lady we saw earlier.
Yeah, and the scientist definitely doesn't look more lecherous after doing that.
For now, let's ignore that the actor playing her was only 23 years old when this movie debuted, and Charlton Heston was 45. Instead, let's marvel at how her very long hair isn't a snarly mess.
True, it just seems like they have very good hair care products.
It's impressive that despite the collapse of human civilization, they maintained their hair care technology. In a new scene, the scientists put Bright Eyes and his barbarian bouffant Barbie.
Well, it goes with his beard.
The scientists put them in an outdoor cage where other humans skirmish and shuffle around. Dr. Zira and her fiancé Cornelius mush their monkey masks together as they hold hands.
Oh, that was such a wonderful kiss.
I enjoy how the prosthetics collapsed.
Yes, kind of bounce off each other. It's nice.
I am a sucker for any of those practical effects, and I would rather have a rubbery ape mask that squishes any day of the week over CGI that is just not quite there.
Yes, I totally agree.
Zira wants to show off Bright Eyes because he's special
I'm surprised Cornelius isn't more jealous, honestly.
Dr. Zaius interrupts to taunt Cornelius for being an archaeologist as Bright Eyes scrawls a message in the sand.
And it's amazing how nobody sees what he's scratching.
The lady human smears his writing, so Bright Eyes violently yanks her out of the way by her hair. Another human man with a fake beard attacks him and they fight.
Judo chop.
The apes forcefully remove Bright Eyes from the kennel as Dr. Zaius and another guy laugh at Dr. Zira for attempting to prove that humans can be domesticated.
No, they definitely cannot.
You live with a human, you would know.
I am a human, I know.
Zaius then notices the remnants of the word right in the sand, but he smudges it to oblivion with his cane.
Yes, must hide the truth.
Dr. Zira is upset with her colleagues for how they mistreated Bright Eyes, who is locked up in his cage. After stealing her notebook, Bright Eyes writes, "My name is Taylor."
Ooh.
Zira's assistant, Julius, beats Taylor / Bright Eyes / Charlton Heston and returns the doctor's notebook. After reading the message, Zira instructs Julius to bring her a leash and collar. They transport the human to an office so he can write answers to their condescending chimp questions. The human attempts to explain how he flew to their planet, and he makes a paper airplane to impress them.
Yes, and it flies somewhat well. Yeah.
It's amazing that after thousands of years of evolution, the English language hasn't changed one bit from the mid-20th century so they can communicate.
I know, it's just amazing.
It's a good thing he didn't land in Ape Spain or Ape Egypt or anywhere else he didn't speak the language.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's difficult enough for us to try and read English from a few hundred years ago. Like, how many people struggle reading Shakespeare? I can't imagine after thousands of years and transferring species.
Yes, yes.
However, Cornelius concludes the human is lying because he has been to the Forbidden Zone.
Ooh, the Forbidden Zone.
Cornelius hypothesizes that apes evolved from man, but he was told by Zaius that his idea is heresy.
Yep, gotta bring in that religion.
Zira believes Bright Eyes is the missing link, but he is offended at the implication that he is the unevolved primate.
I have no missing link.
As Zira encourages Cornelius to grow a spine, Zaius barges in with his tangerine twin to chastise Zira for bringing an animal into whatever room they're in.
Yes, it's just not allowed, especially when not on a leash.
What if they gave him one of those cones of shame?
Oh, that would be good.
Zaius then crushes the paper airplane before returning Charlton Human to his cage.
Yes.
Bright Eyes is then snuggling with his... I'm at a loss for words to describe this woman's relationship to the main character since she's not a fully autonomous person and can't consent. So I'm going to go with the term consort.
Sure.
That seems icky enough, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that kind of works. Yeah.
Nefarious apes enter and announce they're going to castrate Bright Eyes.
Oh, that's when the cone of shame would come in if they actually got to it. Yeah.
The protagonist doesn't like that one bit, so he escapes.
Mm-hmm.
He runs around in the village and scares all the simians. He sprints into a papier-mâché cave, sidesteps a religious ceremony, and a child rats him out.
Look, it's a man.
He then clumsily fights the apes as he scurries through the Gilder Center in the American Museum of Natural History. Will we see two gorillas crossing the street with a pane of glass? Will there be a bonobo melon cart to overturn? Oh no! The apes almost catch him, but they gad about the Flintstones set a little more.
Yes, and then we get some throwing of vegetables and other produce.
Before that, as the human scampers through the Natural History Museum a little more, Bright Eye stumbles upon the taxidermied humans and sees
Right.
his dead friend on display.
Yes, you think they would have had glass eyes down
Hmm.
by that time, but you know,
Aaron, how did this set compare to when we actually went to the American Museum of Natural History in New York last summer?
surprisingly similar.
Yes.
Very, very much so. And that was like only built a few years ago, wasn't it? That
Oh,
that new section?
I was thinking the taxidermy dioramas.
Oh, yes, totally, totally.
But yeah, the Gilder Center, which I assumed was a very old section of the museum, was opened quite recently.
Very recently.
This movie is predicting the future and influencing architecture.
Ooh.
Now the apes pelt the escaped human with vegetables before they
Right,
catch him in a net.
right. Yes, because everybody gangs up on him.
Throwing vegetables at a pantsless Charlton Heston seems like a perfectly appropriate response to me.
Definitely, definitely.
Dr. Zira is concerned, but the cop apes won't release him.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape.
In the cage, Bright Eyes is reunited with his cave wife, who is young enough to be his cave daughter. Right before the apes spray the humans with water so they can be separated. The hose gorilla screams, "Shut up, you freak!" To which Charlton Heston retorts,
It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
he mumbles something about women, something about the dead astronaut who was the, I'm going to quote, girl he brought along to be the new Eve. But his cave wife is the, and I'm quoting the movie again, the only girl in town.
Yeah.
The gorillas take the man away as the lady with no lines rattles her cage.
Mhm.
There's an ape hearing. A bunch of doctors in orange show up and make Bright Eyes take off his stinking rags, but he's allowed to hold them over his business. Thankfully,
Yeah.
for the
Yes,
viewers
okay.
at home.
Mhm, mhm. I was trying to think up of a better joke other than kangaroo court, but oh well.
The orange orangutans declare that because Bright Eyes is human, he has no rights under ape law.
Ape law.
Can you imagine living in a country where an unhinged orange creature is in charge and he and his sycophants get to declare who has rights and who doesn't based on their uninformed and prejudiced whims?
Gee, yes, I think I can.
Oh. This movie was supposed to distract us from our current apocalypse.
Ah, yes.
Ugh. Anyway, the apes are mad because Bright Eyes is talking. Something about heresy because their ape lord created apes in his own image. The prosecution accuses Dr. Zira of heresy by experimenting on Bright Eyes to make him speak. The prosecution grills the human about ape culture, of which he obviously knows nothing about because he just arrived on the planet and that intro to ape studies class he took in undergrad is tragically out of date.
I mean, how could he know about, ape culture?
However, the orangutan oligarchs use his lack of knowledge as evidence that he can't reason and doesn't have a soul. Since Bright Eyes / Taylor can't speak in his defense, he writes a long paper for Cornelius to read aloud. The text explains that Taylor came from outer space and had 2 intelligent colleagues. Do we want to guess which 2 of the 3 astronauts Charlton Heston considered smart?
Gee, I wonder.
Suddenly, Taylor spots his fellow astronaut outside, but something is wrong. He's been lobotomized.
Lobotomized.
Heston attempts to attack Zaius as the Twilight Zone theme enhances the scene, but he's subdued with nets and clubs so the hearing can resume. Cornelius explains that the human creature must come from the Forbidden Zone.
The Forbidden Zone.
I want to name an arcade the Forbidden Zone.
Definitely.
And Cornelius declares that he found evidence of simian culture that is older than the sacred scrolls. The blocking, sets, and lines really make this feel like a high school play.
Yes, I hadn't thought about that. Yes, you are correct.
Which is further emphasized when the judges do the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil gag.
Oh, yes, yes.
Before they adjourn the hearing. Despite the rubber mask and spirit gum fumes, Zaius smokes as he informs Heston he will be emasculated and that Zira and Cornelius will be tried for heresy. The orangutan wants Heston to reveal where his tribe is located. The malicious monkey is mad because he isn't unique and he's worried there's a nest of talking mutant humans.
No, not those nests of talking mutant humans.
Do you think there are comic books in the Planet of the Ape world where instead of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's just nest of talking mutant humans?
Ooh, I like it.
A new character suddenly appears and firmly places this movie in the 60s because it's now a caper.
With a young hippie.
This movie does feel timeless to me. I think the first few times I watched it, I would have sworn it was an 80s movie. But yes, that young hip chimp who is Zira's nephew firmly places this movie in the 1960s. And he pulls a ruse to help Taylor escape. The protagonist insists that his female joins them. The trio meets with Zira, who instructs Heston to put on a human costume so they can smuggle him away. His disguise is a slightly different loincloth.
It's the same thing he's wearing.
Cornelius meets the team with some horses.
Cornelius!
That's the wrong movie. I have to ask, though, why didn't the horses evolve?
Good question.
They're all fugitives, and Taylor has a gun, so he's in charge now.
Yes, definitely.
Cornelius and Zira will return to the excavation in the Forbidden Zone.
The Forbidden Zone.
But Taylor wants to go back to the lake to find his flag. The human lady points and tries to escape as they return to the Forbidden Zone.
The Forbidden Zone.
A lot of these characters go to the place that is strictly forbidden in ape law.
Ape law. Yes.
Ape law sounds like one of those motorcycle crash law firms that sets up a tent at Sturgis.
Yes. Ape law. We're here for you. Yes.
Cornelius explains his excavation. He discovered that the ancient civilization was more advanced, and he reveals a lightweight styrofoam skull under burlap.
Yes.
Dr. Zira points out a human doll, which was found in a lair with no trace of simian culture.
Ooh.
The human lady plays with the doll to remind the audience that she's actually a child, and Taylor points out the unearthed false teeth, glasses, and pacemaker. The mute lady accidentally discovers that the doll squeaks, "Mama!" Oh, at least they didn't unearth one of those horrifying Thomas Edison speaking dolls. We have the baby doll and old man Edison's voice coming out of it.
Play with me. I'm a doll.
No!
Play with me.
There's a scuffle outside, and Heston yells before he shoots some damn dirty apes. He takes Zaius hostage, who tells everyone else to withdraw. They go to a pretty nice beach park, which makes me want to know if there is an ape WPA or a national park system.
Probably the 8 WPA, something.
I know this is supposed to be a bleak future, but there seems to be more government support for science and public services than in the United States right now.
Yeah, especially right now.
Mm-hmm. The bad guys snatched everything before they left, but they forgot their Dr. Zaius.
Poor Zaius.
Heston says something about, quote, "For me and this female." And I have to question if this is where the common men and female vernacular originated.
I couldn't say, but it definitely helped.
Yeah. The othering of women. Yay. As the movie wraps up, there's some exposition of men being superior. The lawgiver said that apes should be aware of men because they are murderers and the harbingers of death. Heston asks his ape friends to come along on his future adventure. And this is definitely a scene where it looks like Dr. Zira is lusting after Charlton Heston.
Oh, this is where he says he wants to give her a kiss before they leave?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Heston, despite looking at least 58 years old, advises the nephew chimp not to trust anyone over 30.
That damn establishment.
Zaius wants the archaeological evidence destroyed, and his adversaries tried for heresy because, like most bigwigs with unquestionable power, he learned nothing.
Yes.
Charlton Heston rides his horse near the ocean, so it was probably easier for them to film retakes because the water could erase the hoof prints in the sand. That is, unless Horse Jesus carried this horse during its time of trial and suffering.
The equine messiah. Oh, dear. Yes.
Was that written about in the sacred scrolls?
Probably. Seeing as how, apes and horses are the only things that exist on this planet other than
the
dirty,
feral
stinking
humans.
Man. Yeah.
The dirty, stinking man. Finally, we get to the dramatic "You maniacs" ending.
You maniacs! You blew it up! God damn you all to hell!
I wonder what it's like to watch this movie new, like without knowing there's that twist ending to it.
Yes. I mean, how many people see this movie for the first time these days and see that scene and be like, that's where that came from?
Charlton Heston collapses to the ground and pounds his fist in despair when he notices that the papier-mâché Statue of Liberty is buried in the sand near a giant rock.
Yes, and his sunburn is so bad.
Oh, when was sunblock invented? You think thousands of years in the future.
Yes.
The movie abruptly ends to nothing but ocean sounds.
Yep, that's it.
Aaron, do you know who else gets overdramatic when they realize they've traveled forward in time only to arrive at the worst timeline?
Our sponsors?
Sure, why not? Hey friends, this is the point when I tell you that femininity in the post-apocalypse is brought to you by the Unaccredited College of Klaire. Instead of my usual shtick where I try to entice you to join me at patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart so you can enjoy my academic art resources, I'm going to encourage you to join me at patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart because no one is paying me to make this podcast. I'm creating it as a way to connect with others instead of simply screaming into the void. If you like what I do because I'm keeping you company, please find me at patreon.com/KLAIRE-LOCKHEART. Welcome back, friends. Before we discuss the movie, I want to quickly mention that the purpose of Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse is to explore dystopian media using an intersectional feminist lens. I'm especially interested in seeing how people of marginalized genders are included in the stories we examine. I do want to mention that it's okay if we disagree, because part of the fun about watching end-of-the-world movies is that we get to chat about our reactions with our friends. I suppose we should begin by discussing the women in the movie. All three of them.
Yeah, one dies immediately. One doesn't speak, and one kisses Charlton Heston. Yeah.
Planet of the Apes was released in 1968, but the story takes place in 1972. And I do want to give the movie credit for only having 50% of the astronauts be white men, which really doesn't seem all that diverse until we compare it to actual NASA statistics. The first time NASA allowed women and people of color to become astronauts was 1978. Since then, only 61 out of 360 astronauts have been women, which is only about 17%. However, the first woman in this movie is the dead astronaut, and she was included to serve as Eve on the new planet.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
At least in Archer, they explore how horrifying that concept is. Especially when Cheryl becomes the Hordiot of Mars and states, "We don't do babies."
That outfit with the ductwork and stuff was just, even for a cartoon, it was great. Yeah.
The second human woman is the young lady given to Charlton Heston. She's a mute, feral woman who is basically a child in a woman's body.
Yep.
Not only is she half the age of Bright Eyes, but she's presented to have fewer cognitive abilities, which he acknowledges.
He was rather surprised when she kind of feigned a smile at one point.
Yeah.
Or that might have been more of an expression like you're making now, where it's like,
More of a grimace.
Yes.
So even thousands of years in the future, when old men are talking at women, that's the smile they make?
Yeah, I think so.
She is not a fully autonomous person, and it's deplorable that no one objects to Bright Eyes boning her. It's such an incredible power imbalance.
Oh, yes.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid this reflects the culture at the time when women were only valued for their youth, physical appearance, and prospect of reproducing.
Yes.
Even worse, this feels like what our current culture wants.
Yeah, that is pretty much what they're trying to make happen.
Aaron, have we ever talked about the sexy lamp test during this program?
The sexy lamp test? I'm not sure.
This was invented by comic book author Kelly Sue DeCornick. The gist is that if you can replace the woman in a narrative with the fishnet lamp leg from A Christmas Story, and it doesn't change the plot, she's not a real character.
Yes, okay.
Now, does the feral woman even have a name in this movie?
Yes, he gives her one.
Oh, the apes don't give her one?
No, I think he gives it to her.
Do you remember what it is?
Nova, yes.
Yeah, because it means in Spanish, don't go. Oh, goodness. So, in this movie, do you think you could replace Nova with the leg lamp and it wouldn't change the plot one bit?
Kinda. I mean, it would make it much more entertaining.
The only feminine character with any agency in this movie is Dr. Zira, and she's the only woman with any lines.
Yeah, yeah.
She's intelligent and active in the scientific community. She encourages her boyfriend to defy authority. However, all the other prosthetic primates with speaking parts are masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Like many other movies, Planet of the Apes kind of forgot to include women, and the only two human women were treated terribly. This is why, instead of waiting for doomsday media to include feminine characters in a meaningful way, we began the Thunderdomesticity series. Aaron, how would you describe this collaborative series of artwork?
It's just great. It kind of began with this idea where you were creating these characters. It was kind of a June Cleaver, post-apocalyptic, Mad Maxian kind of vibe to it and such. And then we took that and found some great locations and developed some lighting around it and such. It just, I don't know, it's started to come into a very, very fun and interesting series of work to do.
This is an incredibly rewarding series of photographs to create with you. I will mend, modify mid-century American feminine garb, but make it look like it has survived the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And you are such an incredible photographer. Your compositions, locations, the way you direct the people in the photographs, and your lighting comes together in such an incredible way. This is an incredibly rewarding body of work to create with you. And I'm particularly excited to see how the most recent Thunderdomesticity photo shoot will turn out.
Oh yes, the last one was so much fun. We did the largest group we've tried to do.
Mhm.
Everybody was just fantastic, and the way that they came out and really participated. And I think everybody's just going to be kind of blown away by the result we got. I think it turned out really well.
I am incredibly excited to see what that final photograph will look like.
Yeah, me too.
The first time we exhibited photographs from this series, we got such a positive reaction. We began hosting an annual Thunderdomesticity art exhibition, so artists across the country could share their feminist or post-apocalyptic artwork with our community. This year's show is called Witness Me, and this is a national art exhibition designed to honor the strength of all women, including but not limited to trans, cis, non-binary, and two-spirit people.
It's going to be a fantastic show. I've just finished up the printing, and yeah, you guys are going to love it.
I want our friends listening to know this is a huge volunteer project for us. After I put out the call for entry and organize the submissions, I jury the exhibition. Then I format the work for printing, and you create stunning archival pigment prints of the artwork so the artists don't have to deal with shipping.
Yes. And then what do you do with those prints?
Well, we need to have them as prints because this is an unconventional art show. I wheat paste these images to the exterior of your building, which you have to maintain. And I want to give you credit because before winter set in, you repainted the wall bright orange in anticipation of this installation.
Yes, it is all ready to go.
Furthermore, we create an online gallery of the selected artwork, which we post on your website. I don't know why I'm talking to you like you don't know what's happening. This is definitely for our friends listening, but we post the selected artwork on Aaron's website, packardgroupllc.com. Plus, there's all the promotion we have to do.
Yes, and then there's the reception.
The amount of volunteer work we do for the show is staggering, but it feels incredibly important to do this work right now.
Yes, it definitely does.
I know a lot of us feel disenfranchised, especially since the current administration is actively making it difficult for people who have changed their names to vote. Reproductive care and healthcare in general is inaccessible for many, and ICE is abducting and detaining people without due process.
Yes, and they're taking away funding that could make artists be able to create works that speak out about any kinds of things like this.
I suppose it's good we're bad at capitalism and don't have sponsors.
Yeah, I guess so.
So our show can still exist. Oh dear. But this is an incredibly stressful time for artists since the National Endowment for the Arts is being gutted and most of us are barely getting by.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be bleak, but this is a difficult time, which is why the annual Thunderdomesticity exhibition is important.
Definitely.
Not only do I want to publicly share thought-provoking work with our community, I want to bring together these amazing artists.
Oh, yeah, just coming together is something so special right now, I think, and just giving us all a positive moment.
There are 52 artists in Thunderdomesticity Witness Me, and I want to give a shout out to the artists who gave me permission to mention them in this episode.
I'm ready.
Angelina Blaze Wee, Miri Villiard, Larissa, Lauren Haynes, Pamela Sherlock, Sandra Kavanagh, Rosemary Bookman, Ira Upin, Katiana Shovlin, Bethany Altschwager, Thalia Berard, Eric Zucola, Corey Luna, Nicole Huff, Lauren Wenstrom, Rhonda Erdang, Rebecca Bowers, Chrissa Gaines, Mary Youngkin, Emily Behrens, Theo Gins, Deborah Golby, Julie Dent, Patrick Civiello, Cami Applequist, Christina L. Jagger, Lacey Idem, Tiffany Beutler, Kaylee Nelson, Emily Lehman, Francine Fox, Caitlin Lang, Aziza Afzal, Jessica Schulman, Sarah Bork, Grant Eckroth, Joan Logue, Cassandra Blackwood, Louise Leathers, Kyla Rautenkrantz, and Phyllis W. Packard.
Hi, Mom.
I want to thank all the artists, and I can't wait for the opening reception of Thunderdomesticity Witness Me, which will be on Final Friday, May 30th, 2025.
May 30th, 2025.
The reception will be from 5 to 7 p.m. at number 7 Center Gallery, which is 7 Center Street in Vermilion, South Dakota.
On May 30th, 2025.
Do we want to mention that this is the same building as Photo Lab number 7?
It is the same building as Photo Lab number 7.
The outdoor wheat paste installation itself will face City Hall.
Yes, it will.
On that bright orange wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to miss.
Yes, it is.
It's a great place to showcase all this incredible artwork.
Yes, I think it works very well.
As usual, I'm also going to encourage everyone to dress up for the occasion because I'm a huge nerd.
Yes. And, our friends over at CC's are going to be making some special drinks that night. So after the reception, anybody who wants to go over there can join us there.
Yeah, they're going to have a couple post-apocalyptic themed beverages added on the menu just for us.
Yes, and they have amazing non-alcoholic cocktails as well.
Absolutely. That's a fun way to wrap up such an incredible evening.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, if you and I can put together an epic post apocalyptic art exhibition by ourselves with zero outside funding, I don't understand how movies that have multi-million-dollar budgets consistently fail to include women.
Yes, it's almost like there was a committee that decided
Mm.
such things.
Yeah, we don't have to answer to focus groups, do we?
No, we don't.
We get to make our own fun. Speaking of fun, the Maenad-O-Meter
The Maenad-O-Meter.
is the metric we use to evaluate post apocalyptic media. Its name is inspired by the Maenads from ancient Greek mythology, who were known to party in the woods and occasionally tear apart those who oppressed them. This is why the Maenad-O-Meter uses a scale of 0 to 5 skulls to indicate how people of marginalized genders were treated. This rating is independent of if we like the narrative or if it was successful, which can be difficult to do.
Very much so.
If the film included a diverse cast meaningfully, it could earn a high score. However, if the movie didn't include many feminine characters or they were treated poorly, it could earn a low score. Before we share our ratings, I want to assure our friends listening that it's okay for us to disagree.
Yes, absolutely.
There were only 3 women in this movie. Only 2 of them were named in the credits, and only 1 had lines. There was only 1 noticeable person of color, and he was killed early in the movie. I understand the culture in the United States back in the 60s was different, but it's important for us to be critical of the media we consume, regardless of when it was made, in the hope that we can do better. I feel like I'm often reiterating that it's not the end of the world if a story doesn't include many women, but it's a problem when almost all end of the world media excludes and mistreats people of marginalized genders. Dr. Zira was the only feminine character who had any agency, but she was vastly outnumbered by masculine apes. I'm also pretty annoyed that in this movie, man was used to mean humans. And I'm still surprised how many English speakers don't notice how our language continually reinforces that men are the default for humanity. But that's a tangent for another day. I'm also disappointed that the only sentient human was Charlton Heston, and he was given a woman to appease the ghost of Joseph Campbell. This is why I'm going to give Planet of the Apes a rating of 1 skull. I think I would have been more generous with my rating if the cave wife character was completely omitted, because Dr. Zira's character was so much stronger. So, despite how quotable and influential this movie is, I'm going to have to give it 1 skull.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, how would you rate Planet of the Apes on the Maenad-O-Meter?
Well, on the Maenad-O-Meter, I think 1 skull is very generous.
Is that 1 skull made out of styrofoam and under a burlap piece of fabric on an archaeological dig?
On a good day, yes.
In the Forbidden Zone.
In the Forbidden Zone. This movie it's important culturally. It's embedded within our culture in many aspects. For the time frame, it was a very good movie. Is well put together, well made in a sense and such. And Charlton Heston is definitely a key figure in the history of Hollywood leading men, especially with those teeth. But yes, I mean, it fridges the idea of contemporary woman in the first 2 minutes of the movie. The only other, human woman is mute and has no impact to the story whatsoever other than being a object for Charlton Heston's character. And then Dr. Zira definitely has agency and such, but there's that whole lecherous side that really does some interesting stuff to the agency of that character. So yeah, I mean, 1 skull is generous, and it definitely is made out of styrofoam.
Now, I know that everyone interprets movies differently, and I always enjoy learning what our friends think about the dystopian films we watch. This is why I keep encouraging our friends to join us at the Unaccredited College of Klaire on Patreon so they can rate the media we cover too. For Planet of the Apes, our friends at UCK gave it an average of 3.5 skulls.
Wow, 3.5. Okay.
I also want to point out that Corey Luna, who is a subversive scholar at UCK and is part of the Thunderdomesticity Witness Me exhibition, stated the best line in the movie is when Taylor wants to kiss Dr. Zira and she exclaims, "You're just so damn ugly."
With a very certain smile that only an ape mask can have.
Aaron, do you have a favorite quote?
Probably like, "Get your hands off me, you damn dirty apes," or something like that. So much of it that just seems sort of ingrained within my background noise of media in my brain that, yeah, it's hard to really decide on something that is the favorite.
Aaron, thanks again for taking time to talk about Planet of the Apes with me.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Before we conclude, Aaron, I want to thank you once again for creating the archival pigment prints for the Thunderdomesticity Witness Me exhibition so we can showcase all these incredible artists in Vermilion and on the Packard Group's website. Everyone will be able to see a digital gallery of the selected artwork at packardgrouplc.com. I also want to invite our friends listening to join us at the opening reception at Number 7 Center on Final Friday, May 30th, 2025.
May 30th, 2025.
Finally. I want to thank you again for watching a corny movie with me, especially when the real world feels like it's a madhouse.
A madhouse. Well, thank you, and you're welcome for the prints, and thank you to everybody out there for participating in the show.
This podcast falls under the Department of Dystopian Studies at the Unaccredited College of Klaire. You may have encountered rumors that UCK isn't a real art school and it's simply my academia-themed Patreon account, but now is not the time for that discussion, my friends. You'll have to find me at patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart later to investigate for yourself. However, now is the moment you've been waiting for. This is your chance to meet the newest recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree. It's my pleasure to welcome Angie Holycross, who is not only a registered nurse, but she's also a social pot stirrer. Angie creates handmade embroidery with a feminist sweary flair. To see her amazing work, including her Women's Recent History series, follow her on Instagram by searching for The Savage Stitcher, which is spelled THE_SAVAGESTITCHER. Welcome to the show, Dr. Angie Holycross.
Thank you, Klaire. I'm so happy to be here.
I am honored that I get to have you on my show. You create so much, not only amazing artwork to look at, but it's so meaningful.
Thank you so much. I really just like to stab things a lot. And as I joke a lot, I have a lot of feelings. And so I work through them with some floss and a needle and some very interesting fabric. So yeah, it works out for me.
That's a great way to channel all of those emotions.
Mhm.
And I appreciate how much you share your artwork, not only on your Instagram, but I know that you do some amazing community events.
I do. I live in Dayton, Ohio, and One of my favorite things to do is make weird art with other weird people. A lot of times we joke around that we're introverting in public.
Ooh, I
So,
like that.
yes, thank you. So once a month we have a, queer-owned, woman-owned bar. So it's a safe place for everyone that we all bring our weird projects and we just craft together for about 3 hours. And taking it up a step, tomorrow I am doing a like crafty cinema. So we're taking our community-centered art gathering to a local indie theater where we're going to watch the Barbie movie. We're going to make things, and then all of the proceeds from it are going to our local Planned Parenthood. So very exciting. 100 of my newest friends will be joining me tomorrow. So I'm very excited.
That's incredible. Now, I'm a little jealous that I can't be there, and I'm sure some of our friends listening would love to do some of these crafts that you've invented. Is there a way that we could, I don't know, maybe get a kit you've created?
Yes. Dip your toe into the stitching obsession. Yes. So on my Etsy store, I have lots of beginner-friendly kits and PDF patterns and even some supplies. I don't know about if everybody else is out there mourning their Joannes right now, like I am, but I
Yeah.
do have affordable supplies as well. A lot of my kits are really feminist forward. So I have one that's for books. It says real hot girl shit, 'cause, real hot girls read. And then I have another one that I just put out that says not all women are aspiring to be humble, because, we're not. We
Mhm.
can be loud and proud of what we've done. We don't have to sit on the sidelines.
How do we find you on Etsy?
Etsy is easy to find. It's the same as my Instagram. So it's at The Savage Stitcher is my Etsy. I have a link in my bio on Instagram to both my Etsy. And then I also have some free patterns that are available as well. All of my women's recent history pieces are available as free patterns because art should be accessible.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you once again for being here, Angie. I'm such a fan of your work. You have a great combination of craft, messaging, and I admire how many times you will stab something to create a work of art.
It feels good. I'll be honest. It feels good.
Your attitude reminds me of one of my favorite Dadaist artists, Hannah Hoke. Do you mind if I share a quote by her that reminds me of your work?
I would love that.
So she wrote a piece called Embroidery and Lace in 1918. And Hoke wrote, "Embroidery is an art and ought to be treated like one. You, craftswomen, modern women, who feel that your spirit is in your work, who are determined to lay claim to your rights, economic and moral, who believe your feet are firmly planted in reality, at least YOU should know that your embroidery work is a documentation of your own era."
Wow, that is amazing. I did not know that quote was out there, and now I kind of want to stitch it.
Oh.
It will take a long time, but I'm willing to try.
I'll send that to you so you don't have to search for it.
Yeah,
But
thank
the
you.
Dadaist artists were incredibly radical, and it was through my investigation of artists like Hannah Hoke is where I got very interested and appreciate embroidery art. And so finding the work you create was just perfect timing.
Yeah. We call them like the grandma crafts, right? The embroidery and the quilting. And you think like for a long time, that was all women got to do, right? We
Mhm.
weren't allowed to go to art school. We weren't allowed to do those things. And so embroidery and quilting, I mean, that was the only way women could get their voice across and heard. So it's kind of fun now to like repurpose it in a modern way, with swear words.
I also want to share with our listening friends that you are part of the Unaccredited College of Klaire as one of my generous friends, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you. You are incredibly supportive of other artists, and I'm happy you can be here to receive your honorary degree.
I'm very excited as well. And another little fact is that my husband is a doctor, although his is of aerospace engineering. But now I feel like I get to be a doctor too, right? So now a
Yes.
whole family of doctors.
I want you to get a little placard for your house, or at least a return mail address sticker that says doctor and doctor on it.
Sure am. I'm going to do that now. Sure am.
But instead of making you deliver a speech, I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions.
Perfect. I'm ready.
To kick us off, what is one of your favorite books that addresses the theme of disruption?
So you sent this ahead of time, and I had to think long and hard about it because it was kind of tough. I am an avid reader and read like 3 to 4 books a week. So I really had to go back. I'm going to have to go with the book called The Change by Kirsten Miller. And if you haven't read this book, have you read that book, Claire?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. So it's not necessarily like dystopian end of the world. Instead, it is a take on women coming into their power, and that once the women in the book reach menopause, that they came into their like superpowers. So one woman had the power of fire, and another woman had the power where she talked to spirits to put them at rest. And then the third woman was able to grow plants, which she usually used to give men fungal infections and other things. So, being perimenopausal myself, that book really spoke to me in many ways that, like, women change so many times in our lives, and that, we're supposed to do it quietly and demurely and not talk about it. And in this book, instead, it was like, oh, well, menopause isn't the end of your life. It's like the beginning of your power. And yeah, anyway, if you haven't read it, it is a fantastic book.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Next, what professional experiences do you have that would be helpful just in case society collapses?
So I'm a pretty good one to have on your side. I am a registered nurse, so I have the medical experience. I'm a diabetic educator, so I have that under my belt. I'm an avid gardener, so that one got that one too. But I would say probably the medical experience is probably going to be the top of the list there.
Yeah, I wish I lived a little closer to you as we, I don't know, trundle through society.
We're all just doing our best, aren't we?
Yes. My third question is, would you rather fight one 6 foot tall anthropomorphic hot dog or fight 6 foot long hot dogs?
Oh, gosh. So I think I'd like to fight the big one. Yeah, because I think that I could probably like cut it in like get it halved, and like then I could really go for it. But like I have small children in the house right now. They are 4 and 6, and I can say having like a bunch of small things running around, that is just straight chaos. So yeah, no, going for the big hot dog.
Oh, that's perfect. How do you plan to become more sustainable?
So I kind of love this question. It's almost like you have like an eye into my house. We actually just had somebody design a permaculture design as a food forest for our front yard, because we have a 1/4 acre front yard that's just sitting there with grass.
Uh-huh.
So we have a 4-year plan to have a food forest in our front yard and be almost completely sustainable for produce. So.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And we have a greenhouse. I just started my seeds. So like, yeah, that question was really in there, Claire. You really nailed that one.
Ah, thanks for sharing.
Mhm.
Finally, what words of encouragement do you have for your community?
My best advice is that find other people, especially right now. Everybody wants us to feel like we're alone and that we're powerless, but we're not. We're just tired. So find your community so that way when you're tired, you can tag somebody else in, because we can't talk loud forever. Sometimes we need a break. We're not all Cory Bookers, right? We can't talk for 25 hours. So find your people.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so happy that I get to know you. And just thank you for joining us, Dr. Angie.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse was created and edited by a damn dirty ape named Klaire Lockheart. I'm kidding. I'm simply a human with a surprising amount of Neanderthal ancestry. which may explain why I like smearing pigments on surfaces, also known as the act of painting. Regardless, you can find my artwork along with previous episodes of this program at KlaireLockheart.com, spelled KlaireLockheart.com. Special thanks goes to Aaron C Packard of Aaron C Packard Productions for providing the voiceover work and my recording equipment. I cannot encourage you enough to see his artwork at aaronpackard.com, which is AARONPACKARD.com. Finally, I have to thank all my wonderful friends for listening. You're the best.